Why are we issuing two sets of uniforms?
Oh, yeah.
For people that don't get them, that's what polos are for.
Yeah.
People that get uniform. Am I missing something?
Get started. Appreciate the work everyone has done since we last got together. A lot has happened, and look forward to this month's meeting. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Council, you've got your packets. Any adjustments to the agenda briefing?
None from staff.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Is there a motion to approve our agenda as presented?
I'll make that motion to approve the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Now, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Hinkle, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. We'll move on down to general business. We'll start with Mr. Now.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had a question, and I just got, maybe a statement, and someone could maybe just fill me in. My question is, 21 and Old Mountain Road at the Quality Mart gas station, there's truck parking now. Is that zoned for overnight truck parking?
They can, yes, sir.
Okay. How about, well, I see 3 spots. Is there a number of spots? Because I see some trucks not in the spots.
To answer that, it's still private property and it is zoned for trucking to be there. Even though when we asked them to make property improvements, instead of the dilapidated car wash that used to be there and a few other things, they asked us if they could include parking for 3 trucks, which is regular customers of theirs, and that did comply with zoning of the business. So they painted those stripes just so it would show people that they are for big trucks and not car parking. But as far as to say that we as a town will police how people park on business property, that's not our purview.
Okay.
They
So even though there's 3 spots, it's zone, it could be zoned, not zoned, but zoned for more than 3 trucks.
we have no limitation as to how many cars and trucks can be on a business property. We have a minimum that they have to prepare for.
Gotcha.
As far as how many parks there after that, that's up to that business to police.
Gotcha. Okay, and that answers my question, and I guess my statement is, there's been a lot of talk about the fairgrounds. And I guess I was reading the Mooresville Tribune that came out Saturday, Sunday, and it talks about the $60 million. And of course, all of us received an email last week from the town manager. Any updates? Because according to this article, one of the commissioners is looking for us to become partners. And I don't really want to become partners with them if that's the way they're going to feel about the situation where they're going to govern us and tell us what to do, if we're interested in being partners with them.
You want to start?
Sure. If I may, going back to the mayor and former Mayor Pro Tem can correct me, but I think it was year 2017 when town council appeared before the county commissioners at the time and requested that the fairgrounds stay in the town limits of Troutman. At that time, there was some discussion that it was possibly going to be relocated in the West Iredell area. A lot of citizens reached out to 2 commissioners in particular back then. All that was said at their formal meeting was, would Troutman then become a partner, I think was the word that they used, going forward, to have skin in the game, was the exact phrase that one former commissioner used in helping enhance the fairgrounds to become what it should be. And it was more of a regional attraction instead of just a county fair. The town council at the time agreed that yes, they did want to have skin in the game and would do so going forward. It took several years after that before they've had the first committee meeting. 2 county commissioners, plenty of county staff attend that meeting. Troutman was given 1 seat to be there, and that's, of course, our mayor. No other personnel from Troutman were notified as far as the manager or any other staff member. Due to the meetings that were randomly picked, it was requested by our mayor that I be allowed to attend and represent Troutman in case he was unavailable to sometimes they ask questions or opinions. There were several meetings and different ideas of what the fairgrounds could be, should be, leave this building, take that building down, and then they came back to the price tag of $50-something million. The next meeting after that, a different county commissioner showed up to the committee meeting and basically said that the commissioners didn't want to build it right there because they were concerned how many people would complain in the future. And I addressed that with the mayor being present, saying, okay, how many citizens have complained to you about anything in the town of Troutman? And there was not a response. One commissioner in particular seems to have always been pushing that they wanted some type of facility built to facilitate equine and other livestock to be done on a regular basis because of a personal relationship he has with somebody in Ohio and how they do things in Ohio, not a government-owned facility. There was conversation about different property. The front of the fairgrounds, for example, is not county property. The entrance to the fairgrounds is not county property. Once I was here as manager, it was community knowledge that Mr. Goforth, who originally owned the Fairground Shopping Center, had died and then left that to his brother, and he too was in ill health. I spoke to his son-in-law. They graciously agreed to donate us the property on that side, which would be east side of Highway 21 Main Street, to the town. By speaking with the mayor and council at the time, the thought process there was that is Troutman having skin in the game as the facility starts to grow. We're securing rights of way that you would have thought somebody would have thought needed to have happen a lot sooner. So we secured that property. Shortly thereafter, it came to our attention, the project in barium seasons to where Children's Hope Alliance was not in compliance with their sewer system that they had. Of course, they're a nonprofit group. The county and the town years ago, prior to my arrival, had reached some type of an agreement that there would be some type of sewer system upgrade so that the rec center that the county overbid the town to purchase could have an operational toilet. Because one mistake away, their sewer system would have been shut down. And because of the condition of Children's Hope Alliance, who had been fined several times, there was some discussion with the town about the sewer system. Well, we were aware of several different developers attempting to purchase barium property from Children's Hope Alliance or Barium Springs. We were then told, because of COVID money, that the towns should come up with projects that 2 or 3 municipalities could benefit from, that would then allow the county to help spend the pot of money that was given to them by the federal government. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was 30-some million dollars the county was awarded. I did speak with Mooresville, I did speak with Statesville, spoke with council at the time, what we thought would be in our best interest, and it made sense as the Barium property would eventually be developed to be residential, business, commercial combined, but also to enhance the fairgrounds' use of a bigger septic system. They have had numerous issues with their sewer system on site in the past. There's a camping area there, for example, some other issues that they've had. Also for the rec center, also for Children's Hope Alliance, if they continue to own any portion of the campus, it made sense to our engineers and Statesville's engineers that there be a gravity flow system through basically back of the fairgrounds property, southern end of Children's Hope Alliance property, all the way through Duck Creek. That would have not only benefited Iredell County's rec center, the Iredell County Fairground, but also the town of Troutman, and that we would take a pump station offline on Iredell Avenue. Also any future growth potential. We had a meeting here to where Children's Hope Alliance, county staff and attorney were upset that the town was not doing whatever they wanted us to do on the sewer system. I had expressed it made more sense to invest $3.1 million in doing the system the right way, and the town would pay its share, but also asking for the COVID money, which would not have cost the county anything. It's repurposing the county, the COVID money they had. They chose, instead of giving $3.1 million of COVID money that would benefit the county, Children's Hope Alliance and the town and future growth and jobs, to spend $600,000 that I told them once this project came online, at least $400,000 of that would be wasted money. And that's what they chose to do. They spent $600,000 for a sewer system that is now not going to be needed once Wakefield project is built because it did come to fruition. Back to the fairgrounds meetings. Oh, I'm sorry, I left out Wakefield. Once they became in contract to purchase the property, they offered around 14 acres of property to Iredell Statesville Schools to build an elementary school, was their thought process. Iredell Statesville Schools rejected that idea. They also proposed it to the county, who rejected that at some point in time. When it came to us at Troutman Planning and Zoning, we asked if there was a possibility that 14 acres were still available, and they said, absolutely. So they drew a line across a piece of paper. It wound up being less than 14 acres, and they donated that to the town and agreed so during their rezoning that we could use for whatever purposes we chose. The mayor and I offered that to the commissioners on this fairgrounds committee meeting, that here's 14 acres, we can use it for parking, we can use it for amphitheater, understanding that there's an additional 30-some acres that Wakefield would like to donate to the town. We just did not agree to those terms, which would kind of be south and east, mostly south, but a little bit east of where most of their project is going to be built. It was also proposed to the Fairgrounds Committee how to utilize the rec center property in addition to the 14 acres that would have made this right at 80 acres total that could have been used for the fairgrounds. There was reluctance to do so. Staff, more than elected officials, seemed to have concerns about the topography and stated they just didn't like it. So when we had our next meeting, it come back and they had decided, without any input of ours, to not have anything north of the creek beside the fairgrounds, to not interfere with anything on the rec center property. They wanted to leave it intact. So one of the House members had proposed a lot of these regional facilities for activities, and it can be anything from clubs to sporting events that generates a couple thousand people every week. And it would make sense to do that, to have a hotel nearby, at which point the county would lease the property. Whoever built the hotel would have it 25, 30 years. There would be an annual income to the county, but it would also enhance that. For whatever reason has been portrayed in a couple public meetings, the county commissioners can't seem to figure out or understand that if there's hotel occupancy tax that's filed, because right now, Statesville and Mooresville collects it. Statesville is collecting 5%, Mooresville's collecting 4%. What is normal practices elsewhere is the municipality gets 3% and the county can get up to 3%. The county, for whatever reason, has never chose to collect that tax. This came a great debate and discussion from the county commissioners as to one particular elected official was not going to tell them they had to build a hotel. Again, that was never said. It was just an opportunity of earning more money, but offering a service that would benefit everybody. Then the concern of the one commissioner you're speaking of was, well, if we get raised taxes on that property, according to their county attorney, that money would have to be spent within town limits. Well, if you got a fairgrounds there, it's pretty easy to know where you can spend that money. But for some reason, they wanted to make that a point of contention and even talked about de-annexation. Not to us, but amongst each other and then to members of the community. So the last Fairgrounds Committee meeting we had, the mayor can correct me if I'm wrong, I think was in March. It could have been February. But at that point in time, the one commissioner had never been to a committee fair meeting, said he didn't want to build it there, it was not necessary. I asked a simple question. If it's money that you're talking about, how does it get cheaper to build it somewhere else? And he said, well, I know you want it there. I said, that point aside, what building do we not need? What structure is not needed in this plan? Well, I think they all are needed. I said, well, if that's the case, how does it get cheaper to build it in West Iredell, East Iredell, North Iredell? And he said, well, it don't. Then he switched gears to saying that there was an issue with traffic, and that he was just afraid that some citizens would then complain about the traffic. Two lawmakers then said that they felt if the fairgrounds was developed into a regional facility for use, that DOT on the state level could certainly assist and would welcome something regional in this area and then contribute money to fix the traffic problem, which is Murdoch Road that they're talking about. That's where I'm at with it. Mayor, did I leave anything out?
No, we've seen, they talk about these phases. Again, I think in our last conversation, we saw some phases. I wasn't sure if those were the final phases, but they at least shared some of what they were envisioning. Something like that article talked about they were going to do phase 1. I can only assume that's what we saw. I'm still not, unless they approved that at a commissioners meeting.
I agree with the mayor. While they said things could be phased, they never showed or shared to us what phasing would be. And they're actually made public a couple things that they're going to build now that when we were in these committee meetings, they said were not going to be built. So I think they're doing wrangling within internally with staff and or elected officials, but what they are telling people's happening, I asked Andrew last week, nobody's reached out to him, nobody's reached out to me and the mayor. It's certainly their choice how to spend their money, but like you, I take offense when somebody starts saying we owed or we're expected or like we're asking something for free. This town has never received money from the county, and Mooresville and Statesville has, for infrastructure that benefits the entire county. I do not begrudge the airport, Mooresville, Statesville for water sewer projects. I'm not disappointed at all. But in this particular case, the 5 commissioners can't agree what needs to be done, And I certainly do not appreciate the fact that one of them would take a pot shot at us like we're asking for something unreasonable.
And I would only say, again, I haven't heard from all the commissioners.
Well, I know of one that's works with us,
Right.
okay, very well,
Yeah.
okay? The other four, why are we, as Troutman, which is a big entity into that fairgrounds, why are we being excluded? I think we should voice our displeasure with the county commissioners, via a letter saying if you're gonna exclude us, then don't ask us for any help.
Yeah, and I think there's probably this opportunity, to your point, again, I hadn't, talked to Mr. White about it, but it might be an opportunity for us to invite them to have a conversation with us, on this particular matter. And so, just to level set where they are, this idea of partnership, what does that mean?
Well, one thinks partnership is chipping in $30 billion.
Yeah, so that we can level set.
30
We're
million.
not, yeah, we're not there right now. So, and again, I think Mr. White and I can take that back and get a response, whether it's via letter or phone call, to see if they are willing to come and sit down and have a conversation.
Okay.
Well, it's just, if I may, my concern is that, we're learning things through the press instead of directly. We're having to find out through the news media. We should be finding out directly from county what's going on and included, as you have been saying, in those discussions and those decisions and so forth. And, that's just not happening. And, the previous council, our commissioners, and I'll just say it, we're more inclusive. The current, for some reason, seem to want to go it alone. And as you say, if we want to be a part of it, we've got to come up off the hip. Well, they're in our backyard, we're willing to help. We're a small town, so we don't have unlimited resources. County doesn't have unlimited, but they certainly got a lot more than we do. And the way we've been excluded, and the previous commissioners didn't seem to, want to pay to play, want us to pay to play, and I'm not quite sure why the current commissioners want us to pay to play. We just want to be a part of the discussions. We're not demanding anything, but we're certainly expecting, as this is in our town limits, it's going to affect Troutman very much, and we would like to be a part of the discussion and contribute to the decisions. And, see us as an ally and not as an enemy or someone who's trying to take over. We're not. We're just, we would rather learn things directly instead of through the press. That's my 2 cents.
The one thing I'll add to that, Paul, if you remember, the last EDC meeting we all attended, one of the staff members from the county, I believe it was the county manager herself, expressed to you when you ask a question, oh, we're doing this, that, the other. There has been no discussions from them. Staff seems to be making most of the decisions that a couple commissioners are agreeing to, but at one of their last few meetings, one commissioner asked specifically what was going on because he didn't know. He was given some answers. He asked specifically about the entrance to the fairgrounds, as a couple of you all had mentioned to him at our parade, what's the deal? And he asked those questions. Their county attorney told them that they had the entrance because of use. As our attorney can tell you, just because you use it don't mean that it's yours to continue using. And as a former registered deeds, that answer was absolutely incorrect. As I sent you all a copy of the email when a few of you asked me, Andrew went and pulled up the deed, and it clearly shows who the property belongs to. And again, to your point, we're not trying to be unruly, but they are certainly wanting to say certain things in public that are not accurate. And that, to your point, that's what we thought the committee meeting was for the fairgrounds. But obviously they've made decisions outside that committee meeting, and at least one county commissioner saying He knows nothing about what they're doing. So who is making those decisions if it's not the elected officials?
So I guess this has been ongoing for a while. Is there like a list of emails or archived emails from past communications and committee meetings to get caught up on where the fairgrounds talk is right now?
We can certainly look for any that we have had, and I'll get the clerk to research for that, and we can request the county for meetings, minutes of any of the fairgrounds committee, things of that nature. We certainly will make that request for you.
I think that would definitely help in my understanding what's going on.
Well, I think all of us need a little understanding what's going on, as I said.
Yeah.
You know, what I'm finding out is through the meeting.
Yep.
And, you know, as the town manager, that's maybe not being accurate of what actually is going on. Maybe misinformation to the public of what's actually going on, and we certainly don't know what's going on.
Fair point.
Anything else, Mr. Mel?
I'm good, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for your time.
Mr. Jarozinski?
No, we're still at introductions. Well, I've been out of town here recently, but, you know, just the staff doing a great job keeping the town kept, and, it seems like the trash is kind of eased in to where it's more consistently being picked up and not as many issues surrounding that, so good job with whoever straightened that all out.
Mr. Hinkle?
Well, you know, the party in the park, I think was a success. We were there, Rose and I got there and, didn't see, we kind of wandered around. I think we saw Jerry, a few others and so forth, but, we enjoyed it and, you know, got to enjoy the food and look around and so forth, and, appreciate, you know, rec department putting that on, and all the volunteers and employees and part-timers, doing what they did to make it a success, and, looking forward to the next one. Hopefully the weather will be a little bit, more conducive to outdoor activity. I know at the last one, it, you know, it was nice, but, it was kind of steamy if you're out there long enough, but that's gonna keep you out. That's Mother Nature work, and it is summer. You know, looking forward to, I think this is National Night Out coming up, that sort of thing in August, and, so we're looking forward to that. Just trying to think if there's anything else really, at this point in time, so I'll pass it on to the next one.
Great. Ms. Harris?
I don't have much. Happy August. Years flying by. I missed party in the park. I hate that I missed it, but my friend said, Feline, let's go to the beach for a day for your birthday, so I'm sorry, I ran, so. But I'm sure it was very nice, as Paul has stated, and, I don't have anything else. Looking forward to National Night Out tomorrow, and, that's all.
Mr. Oxford?
I don't really have much to add other than what's already been said. I am looking forward to National Night Out. Do hope everybody made it through these past few storms. I know we had some issues in town with power and internet service, so hopefully everybody went unscathed from there. But yeah, other than that, that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
So a couple things. One, again, appreciate you bringing up, part of the park. It was nice, a little warm. I think the weather probably threw a few people off thinking it was probably gonna storm pretty bad, but it was nice. I would, say thanks to all the staff. Again, I know it takes a lot to put that on and keep it going, so, appreciate, Emily and the team and the rest of the staff for, chiming in there. I did hear a lot of good comments and got to meet a lot of the newer staff. So, good evening. I've heard a number of comments from folks about, getting our trash cans taken, so again, appreciate, Mr. White pushing hard and keeping the folks, there, so, again, it's interesting how some of the keeping that moving. Um, I would also like to mention this year, talking about storms and that sort of thing. We've got a potential storm brewing out there right now. Tropical Storm Debbie. Um, Hopefully, you know, we will not feel as much of that impact, but right now looks like it's dropping a lot of rain. So I'm sure our public works folks, if that rain comes the way they're talking about, could see a lot of opportunity there. My thoughts and prayers go out to the folks who are in Florida and South Georgia right now, but potentially eastern part of the state, which floods a lot, could see a lot of rain. And so hopefully if you've got vacation plans to go to the beach in the next few days, you might want to check on those, because that may or may not be the best use of your time sitting in a hotel room or Airbnb or whatever. So again, thanks for all the work the staff has done over the last few weeks. Mr. Wyatt?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just to piggyback on what you said, Mr. Mayor, the state does a wonderful job of when they have storms that are coming that we know about, trying to get enough personnel ready if needed. I know our law enforcement agency has already been contacted. ISAR, the Iredell County Search and Rescue Team, which is all volunteers. Several of the fire departments have also been contacted about swift water rescue teams in case they are needed to go to the coast and or other states, depending on how bad the storm is. So a lot of people, unfortunately, when they hear all this preparation and then nothing happens, they seem to think, you know, my gosh, we keep hearing about these storms and nothing here. The problem is if it's our turn, like Hugo was a couple decades, then we need people to come here and help us. So it's not something to be taken lightly. While I hope our area is not as impacted as severe as some of these areas are going to be, I do want to thank all of those people involved in making sure teams are ready to respond to help neighbors, even if they happen to be in another state. And for that, I'm thankful. And the only thing I will say, so far the town, knock on wood, has been relatively unscathed. We've got one town vehicle that tree limb fell on, and while the damage does not look that severe, because of where it's located and how it occurred, it's going to be a several $1,000 repair through our insurance company. And if that's all we've had out of the storms, I'm happy. I'm not complaining. We've had a few residents that have had trees and or large limbs done. I would just like to take a moment to remind everybody we are here to help. Our leaf and limb pickup are just those things. They're leaf and limbs. Less than 4 inches, so many feet. We've had a couple people to cut trees down or call us to get trees out of the road. If they're town streets, we certainly do. If they're roads, the fire department and others all come out to make sure there's safe passage in those instances. Duke Power, a lot of different people will initially cut something up so it's out of the way, but it always falls back to the property owner, as you're responsible for the trees on your property. Now, by all means, an act of God is an act of God, but cleanup, it's your deal, it's your property, it's got to be you, whether insurance covers something or not, just so everybody knows. But we do try to handle the phone calls when they come in, but some people are certainly frustrated that in the process. They think we should be in the tree service business too. But I appreciate all of those that have pitched in to help their neighbors who either A, don't have the equipment or simply just not physically able to do that. But if there's any issues, we want to be made aware so we can try to get the right people to assist in those circumstances. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, so thank you for bringing that up. I think one of those trees in the road might have been in my community, but, again, I'm not a meteorologist, but they've got that convenience of making predictions. Given the amount of rain that we've had, we could see more of those trees coming down. So, again, they have to put on notice some of our limb pickup folks help us out. Again, hopefully none of that happens. I failed to mention one other thing that I wanted you to look into that a resident asked me about was parking in opposite direction. Lots of folks seeing folks parking opposite traffic, and so and what dangers that might have. Maybe even mentioning that in our newsletter, just so that folks realize they shouldn't be parking in opposite directions on town streets.
Absolutely. We will do that and check in. Also, I'm glad you brought that up. This month's newsletter was different. Of course, we have had good and negative feedback from that, and I just want to take the opportunity to remind those that are watching and you all, the old format of what we had in changing companies. One, this is supposed to be cheaper, but also we wanted a format to where, just like the monthly calendar, we have several citizens that like to take that and put it on the refrigerator or wall so that they know what's happening. Anyway, we made it the old way. There was no way they could do it without cutting, tearing, doing something. This way, they can read it page by page, front and back, discard what they don't want to keep, and or save it somewhere else. We are not trying to disrupt something that some people liked. We did it. It's Justin's fault for everybody that wants to complain. Justin come up with this. But all jokes aside, we debated whether it could or should, but the occasional months where we need to add extra information, this option is definitely going to be cheaper than the old way that we had. But yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I got that. We will address that in the next article.
All right. If nothing else, we'll move through our agenda. Item 3, overview of the regular meeting. Mr. White.
No, Roman numeral 2, Lord, Roman numeral 2, consent agenda. Everything there is normal as you see it, except item number 6. A contract was given to you all today to review. We will be glad to answer any questions if you all have any about that. If you would prefer to wait till you read it more, feel free to email me. I will respond so that everybody knows what question I answered, if there is any. Jason will also be included and may need to help clarify if there is a question. Otherwise, this appears to be, to me, a fairly standard agreement that kind of puts the expectations on both sides of what is to be there. But again, not necessarily now, but before Thursday's meeting, if you all have questions, feel free to ask, and I will gladly share an answer with the entire council. Anything on that? All right, Roman numeral 3. The first one is recognition of our employee of the month. We've had one particular employee that's took a lot more abuse than should be expected of any employee because of the few changes that we had that all lined up within a month together. Justin and I both will give more on that when we recognize her Thursday night. Number 8, this recognizes both exchange clubs that have made our Walk of Heroes such a success over the last 2 years. And we'll formally recognize them with you all presenting a certificate to each group. Number 9, in new business, this is a request from South Iredell High School for approval of a road closure for the homecoming parade on October 16th. The only thing that I will say there is you all see with my manager's comments, with different people participating, there's been different things that occurred during this parade. While I certainly think we as a town should embrace a celebration at any of our schools that are here, and being a part of the homecoming parade, to me is a pretty neat thing for us to do. I would only make sure that you all, if you so are inclined to grant it once again, that they understand if they hand out or throw anything such as candy from the parade, they are responsible for cleaning it up. Last year, we had as many as 5 employees, almost 3 hours cleaning that up. I don't think that should be an expense of our staff for something that they are doing. Any questions on that?
Who left candy laying on here?
Them kids threw it everywhere and run over it, and it was everywhere. And honestly, for the homecoming parade, it's not like a normal parade to where you have thousands of kids. You may have 50. The adults get more angry over that candy than the kids. There's one. Number 10, consider an ordinance enacting a code of ordinances for the town. This is what we discussed for a couple months now, give you all time to read, reread. I think we got all on the same page last month, understanding that it is a living book, which means we pass the ordinances, but if there's an ordinance that you all have issue with, and or as we as staff come up with ordinances that need to be modified or changed, that process still happens. But this first code of ordinances in the book you have would be passed as they are, and none of them were altered from what we had already done. It just puts them in chronological or numerical order with what they are, and that's that. Is there any questions on number 10? All right, number 11 gets into the first change we hope to make to that book.
That didn't take long.
Sir?
That didn't take long.
No. This is cleaning up our existing practice to be listed as an ordinance. And this is simply with our change in waste services. We have had some citizens say, I'm just not going to pay you. I don't want your trash can. You're not charging me X amount of dollars. I will like to explain again briefly, because everybody's been hit with it. Some people think their property taxes pay for waste services. As we discussed a few years ago, how much does it cost to pick up waste and recyclables at $1 million property versus how much does it cost to pick up waste and recycles at a $100,000 property? It's the same. So we as a town council at the time and staff started following the policy that this is a service that costs the same regardless of the value of your property. Therefore, each user should pay the same fee. If you happen to have $1 million house and you're one of those that say, oh no, you should change property tax, great. You're going to pay 2 times more than everybody else because your property is higher value. At least 2 times. It could be 3, depending on which statistic you read. But that's the reason we charge the fee. You all have had a couple people reach out to you that think when they don't get water or sewer, they're not getting services that their taxes pay for. This is a perfect example. Your taxes are not paying for that. That's why it's a fee. Any questions on number 10?
Reading it, can you explain a little bit? I'm just not quite understanding, an ordinance mandating all properties participating in the collection of solid waste services shall remain customers. I'm not kind of understanding that.
Again, when we change services and the new fee is $18 and some, a month. we have had several residences that says, I don't want you to pick up my trash. I wanna opt out of it. So if we allow them to do that, we in the town then, in some houses and situations, they stack it up, haul it off once a month, it becomes, not only a nuisance, but it can become a health hazard. So because we do and are obligated to provide waste pickup services, this ordinance simply tells people, no, it's a service that you're getting and you will pay for it.
And it's mandated.
Correct.
Okay, I'm following you.
It's a practice that we've always told people,
Right.
but the ordinance didn't clearly state you shall, and this just cleans that up.
I understand. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Number 11, an ordinance, that's what we just discussed, I'm sorry. Number 12, rezoning request, for a property off of, it says the applicant is town of Troutman, that's not right.
No, it is.
Which, one?
This is the one we're requesting we're reverting this one back to its original, designation because they haven't done.
oh, yes, I apologize, thank you. Just to clarify, this property is located off Autumn Leaf Road. They had came to the town and got rezoning. However, they have not done anything toward that rezoning. What this is planning, zoning director Andrew Ventresca, has decided, hey, instead of leaving things untended in our zoning map area, if people's not gonna follow through with what they request, then we need to revert it back to a residential property. If there's any questions, Andrew's here, I'm here, feel free.
Andrew, do we have any other parcels in similar situation?
Most of the conditional zoning districts we have that have, been approved since, at least in our ordinance, have at least had some kind of activity or they've had some kind of plan that's been vested. In this particular instance, we've had some issues with violations of the property. It's zoned CD highway business. Since that time, the strategic plan and the land use plan map has changed, so it no longer fits that category. So with this property, there's a couple things that are the reason why we're moving through this request, just to get it back to residential. And we also feel that if they ever do wanna come back commercial, they can meet that neighborhood commercial designation that they're currently under on the land use map. So it'll more fit with what's there.
The basic issue, and the town manager mentioned, they haven't followed through with what they committed to do when we changed this several years ago, and basically they haven't provided a site plan or concept plan, or what have you, a plat, anything, you know, which is a part of what they agreed to under the CZ zoning, highway business, so they didn't do it, so we're going back to what it was.
And that's part of our ordinance, is that it can be reverted back.
That's right. It says that if nothing happens within 2 years of that zoning change, that the staff can initiate a reversion back to what it was. And this was 2016. And so I've been here a little bit over 2 years, maybe 3 years now. And I know with previous code enforcement officers, we've had issues on this property that seem to have not been taken care of. Well, this reversion back to residential will eliminate those violations as well.
It was a fairly contentious rezoning even at the time, so, anyway.
I know it's an ordinance, but is this pretty common practice for it to actually happen? Like you said, it was 2016 when it was originally rezoned.
I wouldn't say that it's a common practice, we have not done it in 3.5 years I've been here. However, it is if people don't follow through with what they promised to do. It's not an abnormal thing, it's just not, most people, if they spend the money and time and effort to go through the conditional rezoning, they want to do something and they follow through with it. For the ones that don't, yes, it is a normal activity.
Okay. So it sounds like this was maybe prompted by violations and stuff to look into it. Yep, in conversations with property owners. And typically what we'll see, even the conditional zonings we've had, that if you don't see any activity on properties, they'll at least submit some engineered plans to test it. So, we've got some larger scale, maybe some controversial conditional zonings that were approved in recent 5 years, but they've at least vested their projects with approved engineered drawings. And in this particular case, we've got none.
And some of the opposition that was originally there is still also opposition contacting us regularly.
I'm surprised that, you know, there's opposition, but property was not doing anything to correct it. I mean, opposition, but no interest to correct.
And I will say that the main opposition was opposed to this, from what I understand, in 2016, is in favor of this reversion. So,
I'm sorry, what?
they're in favor of the reversion.
Oh, yeah.
At the planning board meeting, we had nobody came to speak.
There was a similar heart change with the property at the corner of Troutman.
Well, just, I mean, with the exception of Paul, we weren't around in 216. What was supposed to go there?
The condition stuff are in the packet. It was one with, it was an HB with, basically it would allow up to 30,000 square feet of retail. It would allow 30,000 square feet of service and office, and the conditions are listed in your packet. And
The-
just nothing ever came.
While they didn't limit themselves to a specific project, they alluded to they wanted some office type of business there when it was passed. I was here, even though not in this role, when that occurred.
And the opposition was there was residential in the area, the office type or whatever that was proposed would cause, you know, light pollution, other types of activity that, you know, sound and so forth, that they didn't necessarily want to see.
Thank you, sir.
And there was discussion of some neighborhood central type businesses there, but it went highway business. And as two gentlemen, you know, the town manager and the mayor mentioned, you know, we were told some things that, you know, on the surface sounded good. Small businesses, that could be neighborhood central, but they wanted that HB, which allows more, and of course, the grocery store that you heard about, that's never come to fruition. There was talk there then, and that piqued interest. So, you know, there were some things that, not grandiose, but some things that sounded interesting that were presented to us that, kind of like this property we're talking about here. Just, you know, it's just a lot of talk at the time, but nothing since. No follow through since.
Like the steakhouse.
Yeah, another conversation, but yes.
Any other questions on that one? Number 13 is a text amendment, amend Article 10.5.2, Design Review Board membership of the Troutman Unified Development Ordinance. Andrew?
I think this was suggested by council a few months back regarding the restriction on design review board members, particularly that expert that's needed on the design review board, that limited it to in-town or in the planning jurisdiction. The reason was we're not necessarily going to find an expert to apply that's in the town jurisdiction, so this was at the request of council to bring this forward. And we did bring it to the design review board and change the rules and procedures with what's being proposed.
Any questions from anybody? Number 14, replace Article 7.7.2, traffic impact analysis of the Troutman Unified Development Ordinance. Andrew?
Yep, we did hire Kimley Horn as our transportation consultant for the town, and so one of the first steps that we're looking at is to kind of update our traffic impact analysis requirements. And so with this particular item, we're going to replace the whole section, 7.7.2, and I do have staff from Kimley Horn coming to give a presentation on major points of it. The Kimley gave the same presentation to planning board, and very well done, and I think we'll get a lot out of it.
And that'll be it. Hopefully.
Famous last words.
Yeah.
Next item is a closed session. A couple items there. The consultant attorney and to discuss acquisition of property. That's general statutes listed on the agenda. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make that motion for you, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a second? Who all do we need?
Our clerk, town attorney, and you all and myself.
favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. We may need Justin for part of it.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.